Have you ever made a financial mistake so painful, so deep, that it feels like it still lives in your wallet today? Maybe it was the business idea that crashed and burned. Maybe it was that house you overpaid for, or the loan you co-signed that came back to haunt you. We all know the physical pain of having empty pockets. But today, we're going to talk about the even greater, often forgotten pain. The emotional paralysis caused by the ghosts of yesterday's debt. That heavy memory, that crushing sense of failure. It can keep you frozen, unable to reach for the next opportunity, no matter how small. While we listen to the story, we will also learn some new words that define the true power of resilience. Words like indebtedness and financial amnesty. This is the story of Elias. Elias lived in the blistering heat of Phoenix, Arizona. He wasn't a bad person. He wasn't lazy. He was an idea person. 2 years ago, he took a risk, a big one. He poured every penny he had and every penny the bank would lend him into launching a custom carpentry shop called the Solid Oak. He had visions of building beautiful handcrafted furniture. He bought the best tools. He rented a massive warehouse unit 3 miles outside of downtown. He worked 18 hours a day, but the customers didn't come. The wood was too expensive. The recession hit the area hard. After 6 long months, Elias had to padlock the doors. He didn't just lose his business. He ended up owing close to $80,000 in outstanding loans and inventory fees. It was enough to sink a small ship. Now, Elias was 29 years old, living in a tiny, cinder-block apartment, working a graveyard shift stocking shelves at a massive retail store just to keep the minimum payments rolling in. He was financially poor, yes, but he was emotionally bankrupt. His conflict wasn't the debt itself, it was the notebook. Every night, when he got home, Elias would pull out a thick, spiral-bound ledger. He called it the Book of Errors. It contained every single painful detail. The day he signed the final lease, the $52 he wasted on fancy coffee cups for a grand opening nobody attended, the precise date the bank manager called for the final time. He would pore over the pages, dissecting the failure, punishing himself for every misstep. He was convinced that the key to avoiding future failure was to keep the memory of the past failure excruciatingly fresh. His mind was a prison, and the ledger was the jailer. One afternoon, trying to escape the stifling heat, Elias wandered into the shop next door to his apartment complex. It was an antique store called Lost Time, run by an elderly woman named Agnes. Agnes was small, sharp, and wore spectacles low on her nose. Her shop was stuffed full of treasures and junk, mostly old clocks that ticked and chimed out of synchronization, creating a beautiful, chaotic soundscape. Elias wasn't looking to buy. He was just looking for cool air. But as he turned too quickly around a display case, his elbow caught a stand. A tall, Victorian-era grandfather clock wobbled and fell forward with a sickening crunch. The glass shattered. The pendulum swung free, then stopped. Elias froze. His heart hammered in his chest. He felt that familiar, paralyzing dread, the feeling that one small accident was about to spiral into total financial ruin. He felt the ghost of his $80,000 debt standing right behind him. "Oh, I am so sorry, Agnes," he stammered, his voice tight. "I will pay for it. I promise. I need to figure out how much." Agnes didn't rush. She walked over slowly, assessed the damage to the clock face, and gave a small, indifferent sigh. "It's just a broken spring, Elias," she said softly. "It happens. But it looks so old, so valuable." Agnes picked up a piece of the shattered glass and tossed it into a small wooden box. "Son, listen to me. This clock is 3 feet tall. It's been chiming for 100 years. It has kept meticulous track of every hour, every minute, every passing second since 1923. It is the history of time itself," she said, dusting off her hands. "But now its spring is broken. Its job is over, for now." Elias stood there, bewildered by her calm. Elias, the worst thing you can do to a stopped clock is try to obsessively figure out the exact second it died. Did it stop at 5 o'clock? 5:01? 5:02? It is irrelevant. The time that matters is the time you reset it. She looked him square in the eye. You are that clock, Elias. And that ledger you carry around? That book of errors? That is you obsessing over the exact minute the spring broke. Agnes explained that the deepest wound poor people carry isn't the lack of money. It's the constant, overwhelming indebtedness to the painful details of past failure. She handed him a simple, square metal key. You need to grant yourself financial amnesty, she whispered. Amnesty means forgiveness for the past. It means a full pardon. You learned the lessons, the hard way, so the debt has already been paid in knowledge. You don't need to keep paying it in emotional pain. But I can't just forget $80,000, Elias protested. You forget the specific details that paralyze you, Agnes corrected. You forget the spreadsheets. You forget the name of the bank manager. You forget the exact color of the wasted coffee cups. You don't forget the lesson, but you absolutely must forget the shame. Agnes pointed to the clock. This clock needs to be repaired, polished, and rewound. It needs a zero starting point. If I worry about all the hours it missed while it was broken, I'll never start it ticking again. I only need to worry about the next tick. Elias went home that night and stared at the book of errors. The detailed entries seemed ridiculous now. The ghosts of indebtedness seemed smaller, less threatening. He took the ledger outside to the dumpster area, lit a match, and watched the painful paper curl into ashes. It was a cleansing fire. It was his act of financial amnesty. He didn't magically get rich overnight. He still owed the bank tens of thousands of dollars. But the next day, when he sat down to budget his minimum wage earnings, he didn't start by calculating how far he was from zero. He started by focusing on the next $100 he wanted to save, without the crushing emotional weight of the failures that came before. He began focusing on the next tick of his life's clock. That is the greatest power the poor possess. It is not the ability to earn more money immediately. It is the immediate, non-transferable ability to grant yourself full financial amnesty for the past. Financial resilience is not about the size of your bank account. It is about the emotional space you create in your mind to receive new opportunities. If you are constantly carrying the weight of a 10-year-old mistake, your hands are too full to pick up a new shovel. Learning is critical. Forgetting is essential. Remember this powerful truth. Failure is not fatal, and financial setbacks are just temporary entries in a ledger that you, and only you, have the power to close and reset. Don't be enslaved by the past, Elias learned. Use the knowledge, and then let the painful details go. I'll be back again with another inspiring story. Till then, be patient, be thankful, and keep moving forward in life.